So, it has now been 2 weeks since Visions of Eternity came out, and I have been having an amazing time playing it. New story, maps, metas, legendaries, and also 9 new elite specializations. In case you're unfamiliar, elite specializations are basically subclasses for the existing 9 classes. An elite spec introduces new utilities, a new elite skill, and most importantly, a new class mechanic. These can really change how a class plays, and there was a lot of hype for these. So now that they're released, are these actually any good? I really wanted to answer this question properly, so for the past 2 weeks I have locked myself into my room and I learned every single new elite spec. And with that, I mean, I really learned every single new elite spec. I took them into open world, took them into lots of raids, strikes and fractals, and I also practiced lots on the golem. My goal was to hit 80% of the damage that the pro people from snowcross.com do, and it was a little bit of a challenge. This really forced me to learn the ins and outs of every new spec, and it also gave me a pretty good idea on how hard these are to play. And it also took a lot of time. Gosh, I played a lot of GW2 Twitch this week. Fortunately, I had an amazing time, and I can now make this review of every single elite spec. Let's get started, but first, some quick general thoughts. I really enjoyed this new set of elite specs. While some clicked with me more than others, they all felt significantly improved over their beta versions, and there wasn't a single one that I disliked playing. It felt so nice getting something big for each class. In the past 2 expansions, we didn't get new elite specs, but instead we got new weapons. That meant that if your main class weapon didn't fit into a build you enjoyed, you were kind of out of luck. Don't want to play heal Mesmer? Too bad, Soto's Mesmer rifle probably isn't for you. But in this expansion, each specialization has multiple playstyles, so it is a lot easier to find something you enjoy. This set of elite specs doesn't include new weapons. At first, I thought that I would really miss those. But for most specs, it ended up not feeling like a huge deal. I actually ended up playing with the Janfear Spears a lot, which, considering they're only a year old, still felt pretty fresh. Alright, now let's go over each of the new elite specs. Starting with the Ritualist, the new specialization for Necromancer. Ritualist was actually a class in Guild Wars 1, and it's finally made its way to the sequel. Ritualist can enter Ritualist Shrouds to summon 3 different spirits. These spirits do an initial spawn attack, and after that they keep periodically auto-attacking. You can also press the new 5 skill for another special attack. So if you're smart, you wait a little bit for the spirit's initial attack to be done, and then you use skill 5. This means that, unlike in the beta, it's actually worth staying in your shrouds for a little bit. Normally, the spirits disappear when you leave shrouds, but with a trait they also stick around after. I think that's way cooler, so I used that trait pretty much the entire time. Each spirit has a rupture skill that you can use. In the beta, that would also destroy your spirit, but now it actually doesn't. This means you can spawn your little army of spirits and then use their rupture skills whenever you want. These skills are really strong for DPS, support and utility. I had a lot of fun playing Ritualist on both DPS and healer. I actually think it's one of my new favorites. It flows really well, it's very easy to play, and it's also super powerful. I very much expect Ritualist to get nerfed. But still, I wouldn't be surprised if Ritualist becomes the most popular specialization in this expansion. It's got everything. It's fun, powerful, easy to play as both DPS or healer, and it has a really awesome theme. If there is any criticism I have for this spec, it is that there are now spirits everywhere. A ton of people are playing Ritualists, so on any open world boss, you just see a huge army of green spirits everywhere. I would really like to see an option to hide other people's spirits, because the visual noise can definitely be a loss. Next is Elementalist, my original main, but now with the Evoker specialization. Evokers specialize in one specific element, and it also gets you a cute spirit animal friend. There is the Fire Fox, the Water Otter, the Air Hare, and also the Rogue Frog. Some people call that last one the Earth Toad, but I like calling it Rogue Frog way more. Whatever attunement you pick gets recharged faster, so you can use it more often. And using skills in that attunement also charges your spirit faster. Let me explain. Each weapon skill you use charges your spirit, and when your spirit is fully charged, you can order it to do a fancy skill. After doing that 3 times, you get an even fancier skill. It's actually a pretty neat concept. There is also a trait which lets you fully specialize into one attunement, so that you're locked into it. Fire Wizard Rejoice. When this was first announced, I thought this might be kinda boring, just spamming the same couple skills over and over, but there's actually a really satisfying rhythm to it. These spirit skills reduce your cooldowns, and it feels really satisfying to time it all correctly, get all your skills on cooldown, and then reset them all at once. It kinda feels like you are clearing 4 lines at once in Tetris. I played a lot of fire-only Evoker, and right now it's just a little bit OP. The optimized rotation is actually a really short, easy to memorize loop, but there is a decent amount of skill required to execute it perfectly. It is very fast, but there are also moments where you need to be careful not to go too fast. I found this single element fire evoker to have much more depth than I expected. It just feels so different from any other elementalist build, and if anything, it reminds me a little bit of playing Berserker. There are also power builds with the bunny, heal builds with the otter, super survivable builds with the frog. I am so excited to try them all, and as an elementalist fan, I am very happy with this spec. It's definitely not just the cute animals. And now it is time for the long-awaited musical mesmer spec, the Troubadour. Troubadour. Troubadours give up their clones and instead gain notes. Instead of shatter skills, there are now instrument skills that you can play for different effects. After you finish your instrument skill, your notes get consumed, and a magical version of the instrument keeps playing in the background. The more notes were used up, the longer the magical instrument keeps playing. I really wish I could do this IRL. This may sound kinda complicated if you haven't tried it, but it's actually fairly straightforward. It's like you've got this mini-game, trying to get notes, playing instruments at the right time, and trying to get this little orchestra going in the background. It's really cool hearing more and more instruments joining the song, and when you get all instruments going, it feels awesome. You can then also use this crescendo skill, which gets stronger depending on how many instruments are playing. And then every time you use it, you have to say, crescendo! Crescendo! Okay, that part's optional. If you ever get tired of this instrument loop, you can actually mute it by turning down player instrument volume. But unfortunately, even if you mute your instruments this way, the background music of Guild Wars 2 still gets mostly muted. I really hope they fix this. Some of my friends who have played a lot of Troubadour told me they have barely heard the new expansion soundtrack. And that's a huge shame because it's really good. In the beta, I found that the instrument minigame could be kind of frustrating if you didn't run a super optimized build. I'm happy to report that this is much better now. There is way more note generation and it feels a lot easier to keep up your instruments. Troubadour is an interesting twist on Mesmer and I love the theme. But honestly, I was also surprised at how little the instrument minigame actually changed the feeling of playing Mesmer. Maybe it's just that I've played Mesmer a lot, but to me, Power Troubadour felt very similar to Power Virtuoso, and Heal Troubadour felt very similar to Heal Chrono. There is nothing wrong with Troubadour. It's fun, well designed, and it's got a really strong theme, but it maybe didn't blow my mind quite as much as some of the other new specs. I don't know, maybe I just gotta play it some more. Next, let's talk about a spec that really did blow my mind. The Galeshot for Ranger. Galeshot finally gives Ranger a spec that is truly themed around archery. Yeah, I know, it's kinda weird that it took this long. Galeshot gets access to the new Cyclone Bow, which is a special weapon they can pop into whenever they want. Skills in the Cyclone Bow cost arrows, which you generate over time, get from disable skills with a trait, and get from Galeshot utilities. Using Cyclone Bow skills then gives you Wind Force, and once you have 5 Wind Force, you can unleash Hawkeye, potentially the coolest skill in all of Guild Wars 2. You jump into the air, do a 360 no-scope, and get this epic hawk sound. Galeshot has a really fluid skill loop. You go for your regular weapons, use their skills, build up arrows, and then you switch to your Cyclone Bow. In Cyclone Bow, you build up Wind Force and then unleash Hawkeye. Throw in your utilities every 2 loops and your elite skill every couple loops and you are off to the races. It's easy to understand, powerful, mobile, and you can play it fully ranged. For me, it really fulfills that OG Ranger fantasy, and I think it's probably my favorite Ranger spec ever. This will definitely be one of my go-to DPS builds going forward. Next, let's talk about the Amalgam, the new spec for Engineer. Amalgams take control of a special moldy ooze, which can shapeshift into all kinds of tools. The theme is a little bit out there, but I actually like it a lot. Instead of your regular Engineer toolbot skills, you get a whole special skill bar, which you can fill with more skills of your choosing. You can pick the ooze sword, the ooze hammer, the ooze spikes. It's really cool how many choices there are, and it really feels like a new dimension to the class. You also get an evolve skill, and this skill's effects depend on which morph skills you pick. Depending on your build, your evolve skill can heal you, give you stability, give you damage buffs. It is very customizable. I mostly played Power DPS Amalgam, and on this build you pick a trait that makes your evolve skill recharge all of your morph skills. This is so much fun. On this build you set up some buffs, then you use all your morph skills while you are buffed, and then you reset them all and you use them all again. It feels super satisfying, and it's surprisingly not that hard to execute. It reminds me a lot of something like Soul Beast. But Amalgam is also very versatile. If you pick different morph skills and traits, you can become incredibly survivable, letting you easy solo events in open worlds. You can also give alacrity to allies, or even become a healer. I do think that Amalgam can sometimes feel a little bit like Scrapper with extra steps. You're still using the same weapons and the same kits that you're used to, but using the new morph skills just feels so incredibly fun. I love Scrapper, and this build just feels like more fun Scrapper. I am a huge fan. And then we have one more medium armor spec. The Thief becomes the Antiquary. This theme is also a little bit out there. The Thief has teamed up with a squid friend who will steal artifacts for you. You can then pick from these artifacts and use them in combat. It is very wacky, and while I personally love it, I do get that the theme doesn't appeal to every Thief main. It seems like you either love it or hate it, and the community seems pretty split. For this video, I played Condition Antiquary with Scepter Dagger, and I gotta say, I was very impressed by the gameplay. You kinda just use your squid skill of cooldown, getting different artifacts each time. It feels almost like you're rolling a slot machine. The key to being a good Antiquary is knowing exactly which artifacts are the ones that you want. You want to choose fast, but you also want to make sure you choose the right one. The reason I like this so much is that it is very different from any build I have ever played in Guild Wars 2 before. There is no set optimized rotation. You're just kind of reacting to what the game throws at you and trying to make the best of it. The elite skill is hysterical. You summon a little army of squids who start frantically feeding you artifacts. So it's like the build speeds up and you're desperately trying to pick the right artifact each time. But you also have to watch out, because sometimes the squids give you a bomb which damages you if you pick it. It's really wacky, but it's also really fun. Antiquary is also extremely powerful right now, and I found it pretty easy to play on the golem. However, I will say that I found it a lot more difficult to play on real fights, because suddenly you're also dodging, doing mechanics, all while you are playing this artifacts minigame. This can be difficult because on Antiquary you kinda have to look at your UI a lot. I think this is the perfect build for people who hate following a list of skills and prefer reacting on the fly instead. I still need a lot of practice with Antiquary, but I'm definitely excited to keep playing it. Now let's move on to the 3 heavy armor classes, starting with Paragon, the new warrior specialization. For the longest time, warrior was a class that didn't really do healing. Then 2 years ago, the staff weapon from Sodo finally made heal warrior a thing, but it still felt a tiny bit awkward. There just wasn't really a warrior specialization that felt like it was designed to be a healer. Until now. The Paragon is also a class from GW2, and it's now here as the Warrior's Heal specialization. You get these new Chant Burst skills, which have an initial effect and then keep pulsing effects over time. This pulsing drains your motivation points, but you can get more by using burst skills or by swapping weapons. The more motivation you have, the stronger the pulsing effects are. As a heal Paragon, you mostly want to stick to your healing chant, because it pulses a lot of healing. But every once in a while, you want to pop into your F2 for extra boons and motivation points, and then go back to your healing one. You can also pop over to your F4 for stun break and stability. It's a fun mechanic, and I honestly really enjoy Heal Paragon. It's very different from other healers that I've played, and it feels way more chill and less awkward than Heal Berserker. You don't have to worry about hitting enemies just to keep up your Berserk mode, like you have to do on Heal Berserker. This makes it way less annoying to play in something like a Fractal. However, I am not quite as positive about DPS Paragon. DPS Paragon feels a little bit on the weaker side, but I'm sure that the balance will get better. My main issue with it, however, is that it's just kinda boring. You always stay in your F2 chant for the DPS bonus. Every once in a while you press it for the active effects, but that's it. That is all the Paragon stuff you really do. Apart from that, it's just your regular warrior gameplay. I think Heal Paragon is really enjoyable and really well done, but I just wish there was a little bit more to DPS Paragon. Next, let's talk about the DPS build that I found less boring. This is Luminary, the new specialization for Guardian. I love this one. Luminary has a kinda mixed response in the beta, but they really managed to turn it around. There is a lot of positivity around this spec now, and I also like it a lot. Luminaries get this Radiant Brazier, which lets them go into Radiant Forge. Once you're in there, every skill represents a different Radiant weapon. There is a hammer, a staff, a sword, and a shield, and they all also have a flip over skill. Your last used weapon also gives you a buff, so DPS players probably want to end on the hammer for a damage bonus, while healers want to end on the staff for a heal bonus. There are new virtues, which can power up your Radiant weapon the next time you use them. It feels like there's just a lot of depth to this specialization, and the first build I tried was the Power Luminary. On this build, the Grandmaster trait makes it so that you can kinda blow up Light Aura. You apply Light Aura to yourself with lots of skills in your kit, and then you blow it up for damage by using Luminary skills. This is a fun little minigame, and of course you also want to go into your Radiant Forge to use your hammer skills. All of this combined makes Luminary a really intense, fast-paced DPS build with a lot of unique flavor. It's definitely not a build for the faint of heart, but if you're looking for a build with lots of interesting mechanics, this is the one for you. It also just looks and sounds amazing. Gosh, I love these sound effects. I also briefly tried out Heal Luminary, which kinda surprised me. It's not nearly as fast-paced as the DPS build, and it actually feels less overwhelming than Heal Firebrand. If Heal Firebrand always had too many skills for you, maybe Heal Luminary will be your thing. And then there is just one specialization left, the Conduit for Revenants. Conduits channel the mysterious mist being Raza, gaining access to a new legend and new F skills. Raza sort of adapts to the other legend you pick. For example, if you pick Malix, the Raza lead does extra conditions and Raza's Condi skill gets stronger. But if you pick Shiro, Raza becomes better at power damage instead. I think this is a fun mechanic on paper, but in the beta it felt like Conduit was missing something. Like there weren't enough new fun skills, fun new buttons to press. In the beta it was actually my least favorite new spec. Fortunately, the developers really listened to feedback here, and I think that they made Conduit a lot better. In the beta, you only had one F skill, Cosmic Wisdom, and this skill was honestly just kinda boring. It gave you some buffs depending on your current legend, but it felt really passive and uninteresting. Fortunately, Cosmic Wisdom has a way more interesting effect now, and there's also a new second F skill called Release Potential. This skill also depends on your current legend, but it is an active skill. As you spend energy within a legend, you also get these affinity stacks, which then make Release Potential more powerful. This sort of encourages you to use Release Potential after you have already been in a legend for a while. I hope that this doesn't all sound way too complicated. It makes a lot of sense once you try it. All in all, Conduit now feels much more fully featured, and it also feels much more fun. I played this Condi Conduit build from Snowcross, and it reminded me a lot of this old Condi Renegade build I used to play. It flows well, but Conduit is not easy. You have to be really fast to pull it off. But even if you mess up, Conduit is currently so OP that it will still do a ton of damage. This spec is definitely getting nerfed. In conclusion, I had decent fun with Conduit. It didn't blow me away like Galeshot or Ritualist, but it feels much better than it did in the beta, and I am excited to keep practicing it. Alright, and that was all 9 new elite specializations. Wow, this has become a pretty long video. I really hope that you enjoyed watching it. As you can probably tell, I've been having a lot of fun with the new elite specs. It just feels like every single one of them is well designed, and they make the whole game feel fresh again, even if I do have some points of feedback. Let me know what you think of the new elite specs in the comments below. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop by my Twitch stream over at twitch.tv/Luminary. I stream GW2 5 nights a week, and I also have a ton of new videos coming up, so stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.